And good afternoon, race fans. I am back. We are ready to start AM Class racing here very soon for Green Hell Racing League Season 7, Race 5 at Imola. And you all have to give me just 1 second here because those are not your current standings. But we're going to fix that as we get over to our AM Class standings. There they are. So as we take a look at the championship for AM, and I start moving things around here and making everybody sick. First of all, take a look at your fellow Green Hell Racing streamers. Chief Blaze may be streaming the AM Class race. I'm not sure. He did not say before he left. But try and catch as many as you can. You can use multitwitch.tv. Get as many viewpoints on the race as possible. So we take a look here. McAlpin leading by quite a bit. 31 points, 31.5 points over Kipster. But Kipster driving my Audi, making him one of my favorites just because he's in the Audi. I love it. It's my favorite. Ferris holding his own right up there. So again, with today being the last race, we see a nice spread of who's been able to hold up in first, second, and third throughout these races in the M class. And as you'll see as we get on track today, quite a nice spread of people. Of manufacturers, right? Unlike the Pro class where we see a lot of a lot of Bentleys, a huge class of Bentleys. We do end up seeing a lot more spread of manufacturers across all of the AM class drivers today. So before we get in there, just like I always like to do for those who were not around for the beginning of the Pro race, let's take a look at our track guide for Imola as we wait for these guys to start up. And we get things going. We'll drag her right back to the beginning and you guys can watch this to see what to expect for the drivers today during the race.
Hey everyone, it's time for another track guide. Today we're at Imola in the new 2020 Mercedes GT3. This track's quite a bit different from the others in ACC. This one's all about using as much curb as you can in every corner to make as much time as possible. Front engine cars like curbs a lot better than mid to rear engine cars do, so keep that in mind when attacking this track. Looking for an off-road on the right here into the first turn. You want to brake just after that and you want to be hard onto the brakes entering the first corner. Now looking onto the left here, there's curbing. You can use all of this. I didn't have too many issues with track limit warnings. But on the right here, you want to use a lot of curb, but not too much. Don't go too far over the yellow stuff or you'll bounce up and lose the ideal line. This corner you can also use a lot of curb. Don't go all the way to the grass or that might invalidate your lap. Don't touch the sand at any point during the lap. It's equivalent to touching the brake pedal. You'll lose some time. Even just the tiniest touch of the sand is bad. Anyway, looking to the 50-meter board here, you want to sort of brake alongside that. May vary a little bit depending on how you enter the corner. For me, I get a little bit of a slide going over this curb, and as soon as I straighten up, I'm hard on the brakes again. And when we come up to this right turn, there's two ways you can take it. Either you fully commit and go right over the curb, or you avoid that yellow sausage curb in the middle and go a bit wider. If you hit the middle, it'll bounce you up and you'll go wide. Looking for the 50-meter board again, you want to brake just after that. You can see on track there's a little rubbered line where it gets darker. You want to brake on that as hard as you can. And then we're trailing the brake into this corner. You want to have a late apex and be patient with the throttle. I was a little early here. I went a bit wide and got onto this dirt. If you get onto the dirt, it'll hook you out there until you get to the end of the curb. I probably lost a tiny bit of time there. Now coming up to the next turn, again, we're looking for the 50-meter board as a reference, and we're going to brake just after that. Don't brake fully, but you can, brake fairly hard, and we want to trail just a tiny bit into this corner and coast, and patient on the throttle once again. You don't want to go any wider than I do right here. If you go any wider than that, you have an invalid lap. This corner, this is where things get funky because there's no real strong reference, but in the middle of the track here, between the left and the right side of the track, you want to hit the brakes, braking in a straight line, coast as you turn, then once you're straight again, back on the brakes hard, slowing the car down, don't go too much over that left curb. Here, we don't want to go too much over those yellow curbs either because they'll just throw you onto the left side of the circuit. And then don't go too far on the left there where I'm pointing on the screen with the arrow. That's about where the track limits are. Just keep it on the edge of that green stuff, straight line, and we're going again. Man, that's a lot of words. Right, so here, 50 meter, oh actually no, we're looking at where the red, white, and green strips are on the curb. Brake alongside that, and this is the hardest corner on the track. You can take all of the curb, but sometimes it's hard to say exactly how to take it, but you want to use as much curb as you can without upsetting the car. Here we're using every little bit of the curb that's available, and then easy on throttle, the rear might kick out. Don't go over those yellow sausage curbs or you'll get an invalid lap. Now hopefully you'll have a smooth exit there. It's about carrying as much speed as you can through that chicane, because if you slow down too much you'll have a terrible exit. Here there's also a 100-meter board, but there's also a rubbered line on the track where it gets a little bit darker. You want to brake right on that. Trailing the brake into this second to last corner using all of that curb there. You can run onto that curb on exit. I got a little bit slippy there, and a gentle touch of the brake, coasting into this final corner. You can use some of that curb there, but don't go wide. Don't touch that sand on exit or you'll lose probably a tenth. If you just touch it, you might lose half a tenth. You don't want to get onto that sand. Use the curb on exit though, and you're on your way to the finish line. And this lap was a 1 minute 40.16, I think, yep. I was on for a 139.9-ish. I was looking at my delta, but through a couple corners, I did see the time drop off, just through some minor mistakes. Otherwise, that was a fairly clean lap. Oh, and one more thing. Just before I rendered this video, I remembered that there were requests for me to add pit stop entries to these lap guides. So, here is the ideal pit entry braking point for Imola. Okay, now I'll show the hot lap again without me talking over it. Thanks for watching, see you again soon.
And there you have it, guys. That's what to expect during today's race at Imola. And again, our M-Class drivers ready to go. No one on track yet. Dan, I did just get a notification, though. Dan, again, if you want to use multitwitch.tv, Dan Double Alpha is streaming today's AM-Class race. I have not seen anyone else pop up yet, but I will continue to keep an eye on that and let you guys know as those come in. Again, I thank everybody for being here. Thank Moons and Bear for the cheers. You guys are awesome. Thank you to Sam for the follow while we were watching that little video there. I do want to make sure I thank you for that. You guys are fantastic. And again, you can always come back here to find all Green Hell Racing. And get ready because we have F1 races on Saturdays. And GT3 on Sunday is a little bit of a break coming up due to the fact that we will be doing qualification next week for the 4 hours at Kailami that I mentioned before. And as we start to get ready for that, we will cover qual next week. It's short. I believe it's only a 25-minute qual. So we won't be here for long, but we will certainly be here to cover that for you guys. And then, of course, the week after, myself and I believe at least Chief Blaze will be joining to cover the entire 4 hours at Kailami, the endurance race for this season. And folks have started joining track now, so we will jump over to take a look. Chief Blaze already on track. Let's go back to our garage so we can change up and watch the guys drop in. How many laps did Pro run? I think it was 40 or 42. Somewhere right in there, Rob, was where they landed. At what time do you stream? Do I stream the most? What time do I stream the most? Usually, weekends are different. Weekends start at around, well, Saturdays are 2:30 p.m. Eastern for the F1 races. Sundays are 12:45 or so p.m. Eastern for the GT3 races. And Chief just disappeared, so that's curious. And then during the week, it's usually evening times on the East Coast. So 6:30 to 9 p.m. Eastern, somewhere in there. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. And Fridays are, of course, drinking and driving. Typically with Chief Blaze, Red Rider, Mr. Peanut Butter joins us. Sometimes we get done in here, all kinds of fun, where we get some folks together, we have a few drinks, and we see how well we can drive around these tracks, just for fun, blow off some steam at the end of the week. Rest of the time is whatever I feel like playing, to be honest. Lately, Ghost of Tsushima. Tuesdays are Terror Tuesdays, if you enjoy terror horror games. We've started those as of last week, so that'll be fun. So by all means, keep coming around. Everything is in the schedule, too. It should be there at this point and up to date. So I appreciate you asking, though, Kiko. We'll have to wait to see if we are still having server trouble, as we did before the pro race. And hopefully not too much trouble. There was quite a lag between the actual race and qualifying last time. So hopefully we can tighten this up. With a 70-minute race, it does make things long. But with the timer not being started, I have a feeling we're going to get bounced anyway. So let's jump on out real quick and see if we can get back in. I need to do one thing before the race, and what should I do before the race? I should probably make another drink, I know that. As we try and rejoin here. One of the things that's very difficult with this and doing it on Xbox is the fact that you are required to get your server through either G-Portal or there's another one, I don't know what it is, but the point being is that their server platforms are really difficult to deal with sometimes. You think settings are good and they're not. You end up having to bounce the server a couple times and all this stuff. To all the GHR racers that are watching right now, just so you're aware, the GH practice server is up and is set for Kailami at this point with two-hour practice stints. So you can go in and get all your laps in the coming week to prepare for qualification and for the upcoming endurance race. And I screwed that up and I don't know what I typed. Oh, and Kiko wants me to hydrate. I can certainly I can certainly make sure I do that before we get started here. I think I did that wrong anyway. No, I didn't. Okay.
Green light. Go, go, go.
There we go, and folks are starting to finally drop in. We've got Dan Double O Alpha, who again is streaming the race today from his McLaren. I am Stan Lee, who you heard earlier during the pro race today, trying to get a few more laps in before today's race. And I can tell you, one thing I can tell you about Stan, Stan joins us on Friday nights drinking and driving. And I will say, great dude, helps you get better. He's not just there to screw around like the rest of us are. He actually gets wicked helpful and is able to, actually try and help make you better because, well, I know he's faster than I am, but he sits behind me and tries to push me and all kinds of stuff. So it actually works out quite well, and Stan's a good guy, so it'll be interesting to watch him today. BK Ferrari in number 3 right now. McAlpin, there's your points leader right there, driving that Porsche, ready to go. Very distinctive on track, easy to find. BB Lightfoot joining in as well. His Lamborghini. We saw Chief Blaze earlier and going to be one of the first ones out on track, if not the first. Dan following right behind him. Blah driving one of our Lexuses today. EDLV in another Porsche. And yes, the M-Class is Porsche heavy today. They like to bounce around. There's Kipster. Now, I'm not saying Kipster is my favorite driver. I wouldn't pick a favorite driver. But he's in the Audi, and I love it. He's about the only Audi running AMs as far as I know. And Tigo going to join in his Lexus after getting unceremoniously disconnected during the pro race. Hopefully able to get some time in today. More than likely has talked to the stewards, will not be collecting points from this, but the man does enjoy racing, so let's let him race. And he can simply be removed from standings afterwards. We'll wait and see. I think we've got more joiners coming today. We'll just wait and see if they show up. Hopefully we get a nice full grid for the next 70 minutes at Imola after qualification's completed. As we take a wander out, and I promised him, you guys heard it, the commentator's curse. I will tell you, Chief Blaze, typically someone who does very well with racing, but did exceptionally well at Imola on Friday night in some small races against myself, Stan, Red Rider. So I'll be curious to see. This may be one of his stronger tracks, and maybe he can really hold on to it here. Again, Dan Double O Alpha out in his McLaren. And there's McAlpin, your points leader. One of our many Porsches on track today. And yeah, Tigo has hit me up on the side to let me know he is wildcarding again, so more than likely will not be pulling any points for this race. Just coming in to work on strategy, given his disconnect issues earlier, so hopefully he is able to get some driving in. As much as everybody wants to win and everybody wants to race, and the thing is, I know for myself, I am here for fun. I think most of the guys are as well. And so being able to get laps in with folks that you enjoy driving with is, I think, very important. So we welcome him out. And Kipster in his Audi, out and running. No laps, no time set yet. As we take a look at BB Lightfoot. Ugh, I always forget that happens. IFMC Fawn joining the race today. An Epic Sim Racing GT, or Epic GT. Had a great first race, man. Excellent, excellent first race today. So great to see you out there, and you did really, really well. Admiral Hollow, thanks for joining the race. You are coming in just on time for the beginning of our AM class race today. We're currently sitting in qualifying. 10 and a half minutes left in qual, and we will be starting 70 minutes at Imola. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody for being here. I appreciate every one of you watching, not just for myself, but for these guys that come out and drive every week and then are then able to watch back and see how they do. .12 strong right now. Pierre is on track. Always good to see Pierre out. Changing up to the Bentley, that black Bentley. McAlpin setting our first time with a 145.2. Do we have any particular racer we are rooting for? Well, listen, I cannot, as commentating the race, I can't sit here and tell you that, you know, I'm cheering for one driver over another. Here's what I will tell you. Everyone heard it who was here earlier. I promised Chief Blaze the commentator's curse. So if everybody wants to cheer for Chief Blaze, I encourage you to do so. No. Namaste. You have to cheer for him. If you root against him, he'll win. You got to cheer for him. Makes it better, right? BK Ferrari very quickly knocking McAlpin back, but only by 8/100ths of a second. So already looking like we're going to have a very tight front line for our AM class race at Imola today. As BB Lightfoot clocks a time in, a little off the pace, but we'll got plenty of time for him to get more laps in during our qualification today. Dan Double Alpha and McAlpin both back into the pits, with Dan unable to set a lap out front. And now we see Kipster just barely edging out BK Ferrari. Take a look at the timetables and who's holding what sectors. Kipster taking sector 1, but not by much, but taking a look, purple is spread all over right now with our top 3, with Kipster, BK, and McAlpin each holding the purple in a sector each. All within 0.2 of a second of each other so far. Stan Lee still in the pits. Chief Blaze back into the pits and heading out on the track again now. I think taking today's race very seriously. He seemed to like Imola the other night and did quite well at it. Blah out in the Lexus. It looks like we had somebody drop. EDLB Racing. Adam Foxtrot. Oops, sorry. Adam Foxtrot out today in the Ferrari. Followed up by IFMC Fawn. And Pierre now out on track in his Bentley. No problem, Kiko. Take your time. Thank you for the lurk. Appreciate you being here. Come on back. We will be here for the entirety of this race. I seeing Kipster up there now, holding on to pole position. And again, we don't know that it'll stay there, right? But holding on to that pole position, having messaged me earlier today going, hey, how did you do through the chicane? Because the curbs are going to toss the Audi. The Audi doesn't like curbs. It's not its favorite. You can use a lot more of them here than I think you can on other tracks. And let's go on board with Kipster now. Oh, let's not, because Kipster's leaving. He's going back to the pits. So we'll keep an eye on BK Ferrari here, our current number 2 position holder, and see if he goes into the pits or stays out. But that chicane right there, the Audi really does not like those sausage curbs. As much as the track guides and everybody will tell you to eat as much of them as possible to get through there in as straight a line as possible, I've yet to pull it off. So it's just funny seeing him up top and him asking me, how'd you do with the curbs? Yeah, dude, I'm not hitting 145s, I can tell you that. And actually now has opened it up to a 144. Our first AM class driver to break down under the 145 mark today, with BK Ferrari still sitting in second and staying out. So let's go on board with BK and take a hot lap around Imola real quick with one of our AM class drivers. And we see there BK able to shave just a little bit of time off his previous best lap as he comes around on that hot lap. And back up to the timetables to take a look. BK now holding 2 purple sectors, giving him the fastest times through the back end of Imola. Kipster still holding on to sector 1. And we can see there just 0.2 separating number 1 and 2 right now. Keeping these guys very, very close together. Most of our drivers now setting times. BK Ferrari, McAlpin sitting in 3rd right now. 0.7 off the pace, and that's a little surprising, given what we know about McAlpin. But he does know how to use that Porsche. That is for sure. BB Lightfoot now heading back out on track from the pits. Just a little over 3 minutes left in qualification. Adam Foxtrot getting himself up into 5th place right now. 2.6 off pace, but still got himself right up there. Pierre holding steady in number 6. Now listen, I've said this during I don't know how many races, but for all the new folks that have never heard it, I love Pierre. I love Pierre. I think this guy's like 4 years older than me. I'm an old man. Pierre is not the fastest driver on the track. You're not going to see Pierre in pole position, but you know what? Here's the thing. I do love Pierre, Namaste, and I'll tell you why. Pierre is there every week. It doesn't matter. He's there, he drives, and he loves it. And he just comes out and has fun. And this is why I keep telling Red, and I keep telling everybody on the Discord, we need a gentleman's class. Not a separate race. We don't need our own race and our own... And no, we just need a gentleman's class for like me, Pierre, and I think Shep, our new driver, to just tool along in the back, let us be old man racers and have fun, and we'll stay out of everybody's way, and we just go have fun with each other. And that's why I love Pierre, because Pierre is there every week. It doesn't matter what kind of race he had the week before. He's just there. So, yeah, Pierre's one of my favorites. I won't lie. Blah, now having set a time. 3 and EDLB, 3 seconds off pace. Chief Blaze now setting a time. And I told you guys on Friday that Chief Blaze liked this track. He did very well, even given what Fridays is about. And there we see has now bumped BK and McAlpin off the front row to take that number 2 spot. We'll see if he can hold on to it all the way to the end. Our only 2 racers now, Dan 00 Alpha and Fawn, the only 2 to not yet set times for today's race. With only 1:20 left, I don't see them being able to do that no matter what. And again, keep in mind, Dan is also... Where is Kip in the standings? Well, let's take a quick look. I can't just throw it up there easily, but I will jump right back over here real fast as we watch. Kipster is in 2nd in the standings right now. But, depending on where McAlpin places, there's a 32-point difference between them. I don't see him able to make that up. Kipster having performed wonderfully during this season, right? But unfortunately was a withdraw or retired in the first race, costing him a ton of points, which I think is going to keep him away from McAlpin depending on where McAlpin lands. And again, given that we're looking at McAlpin right now in 5th, he's not lazy with that Porsche. He will push that back towards the front. And let me get down here to number 6. Whoops, we're not going to invite Stan Lee to anything. As we get down here to number 6, I just got to pull back, guys, and make sure that I've got the right view for the start of our race. So we will do that and get set with only 15 seconds left to qual and only 2 drivers out on track. Looks like everyone is set and decided. Adam Foxtrot right at the end jumping up into number 2. Setting a new quick time right behind Kipster. But Chief Blaze right there. So guys, taking a look at just the front 2 rows. All of them within 0.2 of a second of each other. All 4 drivers. That makes for good racing off the line. And we will see how much fun we can have when we start here in just a few moments. And with that, I'm going to ask you all some patience. As we finish out here, I will be back in time for the start of this race in just 2 minutes. Until then, I'm going to step away. Welcome back, Kiko. Glad you're here. You did not miss a thing except Chief Blaze putting himself into number 3 and Adam Foxtrot with the last-minute jump into number 2, pushing our leader, our points leader for this season, McAlpin, starting in number 5 position. putting him in row 3. That is not a place he is used to being, so we will see how that goes at the start of today's race. So again, folks, I will be back in less than 2 minutes for the start of this, or right after the start of the formation lap. As we back out to watch that, stepping away for just a minute, hang on for some great AM class racing with Green Hell. Be right back.
Seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
'And off we go, folks, for the beginning of the AM class race. Acco49, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate you being here as we get set for our formation lap in today's second race. 70 minutes at Imola, race 5 of season 7. Who is Adam Foxtrot in Discord? You know, I do not know. Because no one enforces the Discord rule that says your driver name has to be the same as your Discord name. And I don't know why. That's not my fault. As we watch our guys start to form up here, single file around Imola. Kipster leading the pack with Adam Foxtrot on row 1. Chief Blaze putting himself firmly on row 2 with BK Ferrari. I told you guys he liked it on Friday night. He did very well. Dan Double Alpha doing a pit start. Something must have happened there. McAlpin and Stan Lee taking up row 3. Blais and Lightfoot in row 4. EDLB and Pierre sitting in row 5 with Fawn in row 6 and Dan Double Alpha taking that pit start. We get that wide helicopter tour of the track. Dan just wants to have some fun from the back. Good to go, Dan. So Dan pulling that pit start today on purpose. And that's all right. Looking to have some fun. Like I said earlier with talking about Tigo, who I guess left or is still having internet trouble. But just wants to get on and race with some good people, right? So I can understand that. With our focus on number 6, I am Stan Lee to start today's race. Admiral Hollow grabs onto the joke that I did not want to grab. Good job. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. That's why I love that you're here. As our drivers start lining up in double file. Gonna do my best, guys. No one here to help on the AM class races, so no extra eyes on another Xbox. So I appreciate you being patient as we watch everyone come around to our start finish line, and the green light will be coming. Apparently the helicopter pilot at Imola is not the best. And green, green, green. Off we go, racing on a Sunday. Down into T1. Kipster very quickly pushing himself out in front with Chief Blaze now sitting right next. And a little bump there from McAlpin into Chief Blaze as we watch McAlpin bounce sideways off someone as well. Struggling a little bit and losing position. Adam Foxtrot. Oh no, don't listen to that. Let's get back out here. Kipster now running out front and solidly alone. Everyone else getting a little tangled up back here. As we are in for 70 minutes of racing action. Foxtrot able to pull away from Chief Blaze, who has BK Ferrari firmly planted on the rear end of his car right now. McPinball, yeah, he did a little bit of that up front, didn't he? BK trying to make the move on the outside of Chief, but trying to go on around the outside of a Bentley, you might as well pack a lunch because it's going to take you a while. Tigo not racing. Yeah, he must have dropped out. He had sent me a message saying he was going to play wild card and just get some laps in, but apparently he decided to not do that. Chief Blaze now getting back up on the back of Adam Foxtrot as Kipster has pulled away with it now 2.6 seconds out, I apologize. Thank you, Kiko, for coming by. And again, we're here Saturdays and Sundays for F1 and GT3 respectively, so come on back anytime. That's what I'm wondering, Astroff, if he got dropped again. Something's still going on with his ISP. BK now falling back off of Chief by over a second, but Stan Lee now closing that gap and going to look to make that move as soon as possible, keeping it tight into T1. And a very clean first lap. Namaste, you're correct. Little bumping up front that cost McAlpin a position, but other than that, nothing too horrible. As McAlpin now goes flying off into the dirt, missing a break point somewhere, and will rejoin further back. Losing a lot of place. McAlpin now losing a lot of position there. But Kipster out front in the Audi, having opened it up by quite a bit. Chief Blaze, however, trying to tighten it back up on Adam Foxtrot. As we jump back, Stan going side by side up the hill with BK Ferrari. And able to complete that move before the chicane. I have not driven this track with BK, but I do know that Stan knows pretty well what he's doing through this back end of the track. So we will see how this goes. BK onto the grass a little bit, looking for a gap. Still tight racing all around with Chief Blaze now right up on Adam Foxtrot. And the straight line speed of that Bentley at some point may give Chief the advantage if he can stay with him throughout the entire circuit. BK now getting strung a little bit behind Stan and opening up. But as we take a look back, Blah is leading a train of EDLB, Pierre, and McAlpin now around. As we jump back to Pierre real quick. All four drivers holding the line at this point. McAlpin's got to be feeling some frustration being back this far in the pack. That's not what I think it is it? No, okay. I thought that was Kipster mixed up in the middle of these guys already. Ow. EDLB looking to make the move on Blah as they come up side by side. Not able to clear it. And I'm not going to lie, this pack is trouble. McAlpin's made his way around Pierre, probably not surprisingly, and now looking to clear EDLB. Let's try and get on board with McAlpin right now. As our picture fades in. Sorry, Ben. No channel points during the show, man. I will try and refund that to you. But unfortunately, it's not something I can do right now. And Blah able to hold his own. Sorry, man. Blah able to hold his own and stretch out a little bit in front of McAlpin. But not for long. McAlpin able to hold that speed and get a clean pass. As we jump back out, Adam Foxtrot still in second. She has opened it up on Chief a little bit at this point. As after a few laps here, we will walk back through our standings to see where everybody sits. Stan Lee looking to close on Chief. And BK Ferrari holding his own as well. EDLB now in trouble. That's what got me confused. Very similar coloring to Kipster's Audi. But EDLB now in trouble with Pierre. And I think Blah had some problems. Yeah, Blah went off track. Because he was right there. Now McAlpin in front of this pack as EDLB goes wide. And again, McAlpin not wasting time. We saw some problems up front in the first lap. A couple bounces. Second lap had some real trouble as well. Off into the sand, but now already making a comeback on lap 4 to clear a very dangerous pack running towards the back of the order. And again, given his point standings and everything, we know McAlpin's one of our faster AM drivers, so it could be a recipe for trouble, right? We know that when we talk about slower versus faster drivers, and someone that drives like McAlpin being that far back due to some issues at the front of the race certainly can cause some problems for everybody involved, not just himself. I am Stan Lee now. Within 7/10 of Chief Blaze. Chief really holding his own in third position at this point. And again, we'll jump back here to take a look at this back pack of EDLB and Pierre. Blah now having dropped back into 10th position. And it looks like we lost Fawn. Everyone pretty much one stop. Well, Namaste, it's going to be interesting because during the pro race, the only people that really dropped in for a stop were those that had damage. We did not see a lot of pit stops from anybody else. I think there was one. I think we had one pit stop. So, it's going to be interesting to see. You stopped, okay. Then maybe we had two. I don't remember seeing you stop, but I could have missed it too. Stan Lee, reminiscent of Friday night, now going to put pressure on Chief Blaze. And I can tell you from experience, Stan knows how to do that and do it quite well and do it quite cleanly. But Chief is also very adept at making that Bentley as wide as possible. As if any wider was necessary when you're driving a Bentley. Pierre now keeping it tight with EDLB, who goes way wide through the dirt. Unfortunately, not really slowing him down a whole lot. At least unfortunately for Pierre, with BB Lightfoot bringing up right behind both of them. And able to make the clearance on Pierre as Pierre runs wide. And we'll now take a look and see if BB Lightfoot is able to make up some time and catch up with EDLB. Yeah, no, Namaste. I'm pretty sure that the majority did not stop again except for Damage, and I think yourself and GT were probably the only two outside of Damage that stopped for pits. Pole time. Huff, come on, man. I don't know. Like a 145. 144. Hold on. See, Namaste's got it. 144.9. Oil Ball might have it too. I don't know which one's correct. It's okay. Either way, it was under a 145. Take a look back up front. Kipster working the Audi. I love the sound of that engine. And I'll keep talking about the Audi because so few of us drive it. So Kipster running his Audi hard out front has really opened up and is running all by himself. It's really his race to lose at this point. Now opened up 13.9 over Foxtrot, with Chief Blaze doing his best to close that gap up to number 2. Chief has been able to open it up a little over Stan Lee, but no, Chief wide, and Stan making the move on the inside, owning that corner in his Porsche. Pushing Chief back into 4th position. And we'll see if Stan is able to close the gap on Foxtrot. Stan is a fast AM driver. And Chief not looking to give it up that quickly. And able to launch that Bentley right through that chicane with those extra big curves. And our field at this point, other than Chief and Stan, very well spread out. Everyone going to get a chance to step back, drive their race for a little while. Yeah, well, and that's the thing, right? If you can get, I mean, if Chief can maintain speed, if you can stick with him and hold speed coming out of a corner, the Bentley's straight line speed says with a long enough straight, you're going to catch somebody, right? And he certainly is trying to stick right with Stan the entire time. And doing a good job of it, too. So we take a look back through the pack, though. EDLB under pressure from Bleh. Bleh. Hey, Sam, you are more than welcome to hang out, man. Don't forget, we've got Endurance coming up in the next 2 weeks. Qualifying next week, the race on the 8th, the week after. And a new season will start not long after that. I will say I'm going to throw my suggestion in for the next season, but that's me, and I will probably not be racing it, unfortunately, as we watch Chief stick it right to the back bumper of Stan Lee's Porsche. My suggestion is more akin to what was, and I don't think it really, well, I guess it kind of is, but what was the Blancpain season when they still owned the GT series, which is a longer season. As we watch Chief make the move to the outside, going into T1, not an easy one to try and pull off. But basically, say instead of 5 races, we do 12. And across the course of those 12 races, we do a mix of sprint and endurance. Obviously can't do, I don't think we could be doing, people have real lives and things to do outside. Chief pushing hard on the outside now to come back up the hill, putting Stan under tremendous pressure. Really sticking it to him and doing it in a very, very smooth fashion right now. Obviously we can't be doing 6-hour and 3-hour endurance races, but something along those lines, whether it's 30 minutes or if it's 30-minute sprints and 1-hour races, but do it for across 12 weeks and have a longer season. That's my idea. You can Epic GT, you can wait, or if you don't want to watch it today, when this stream is over, I've got to download it, which it's going to be massive because I didn't split it this time. I should have, and I didn't, because we had so many people here, and I didn't want folks to bounce because of me shutting off real quick if they didn't hear me say I was going to do that. But what I will do is I got to pull it down. I have to use Adobe stuff to just cut it in half, and then as soon as I do that, I will start uploading them to YouTube as well. And I will make sure I post that link for you, since yourself, and not just you, but there are other folks that are new as well. I have a playlist on YouTube because Twitch will delete races after a certain amount of time. That's not very long. So this way I ensure that they don't go anywhere. But yes, as soon as this stream is over, you should be able to go back to the beginning and watch the pro race. As we see, Chief just not able to get the play on Stan as we come back around for another lap. Stan's been able to hold him off. Chief runs a little wide into the dirt, but McAlpin now has moved himself up into 5th while we were watching those guys and having a conversation. Getting around BK Ferrari, and again, making a great run back to the front. I do. Give me 1 second, Namaste, and I will get that for you. All I do is upload them, and I attach them to a playlist on YouTube so that, again, because Twitch likes to delete things. So this way, they don't get deleted. And there's actually a playlist for both the ACC League as well as the F1 League. McAlpin now going to make a run on Chief Blaze. And we will see how this works out. McAlpin not a slow driver, given what we know, and given that he is currently the points leader. I can't imagine him staying back here for too long, and he has not disappointed, as he has already pushed himself up to number 5 after first and second lap incidents. Kipster now way out front as we take another quick look through our order. Way wide coming around the bottom of the hill. Adam Foxtrot, again another race now running by himself, but Kipster opening it up to 21 seconds. And I can imagine, if I'm Kipster and I'm in that Audi and I don't know if I have enough fuel, how much can I open this up so I can get in and out of the pits before Foxtrot catches me, right? Because he has obviously opened that up to, again, already past 20 seconds, and I'm sure it will continue to at this pace. Will I be able to upload the pro race to my YouTube channel from your YouTube against the rules? Listen, GT, I don't have any rules, man. It's not my race. The race belongs to the driver, so I don't know if there's a setting I have to do that allows downloads, but there are lots of YouTube downloaders in there, or out there on the web. Feel free to grab one, and grab the race, dude. The races belong to you guys, not to me. So, 100%. That's why I don't see my stupid face in a little window up here like during my own streams. Because nobody wants to look at me when there's a race on. Is Dirt Rally worth getting? I love Dirt Rally. I am horrible at it, even worse than this game, if that can be believed. This simulator. I get in trouble if I call it a game. But, yes, it's absolutely worth it. Again, if you enjoy rally racing, so. But I love Dirt Rally. I'm just not, again, very good at it. But then again, that's a relative thing. I drive ACC a lot more than I drive Dirt Rally, so, you know, kind of not surprising. I don't think I've touched Dirt Rally in 6 months. So if I were to go into it now, it would just be horrendous. And now again, 23 seconds already opened up the gap on Adam Foxtrot. So Kipster really setting himself up to allow himself to take a pit stop if he needs to at some point during this race. We still have 50 minutes left. Plenty of time in there, but certainly something that he will have the option to do if he can continue to open that gap. Chief Blaze took the position back from Stan, and now back in number 3. Yeah, no problem, GT. That's 100%, man. Yeah, again, these races belong to you guys, not to me when I'm commentating. So feel free to grab those, grab the stream afterwards if you want, whatever you want to do, man. 100%. It may not actually be on YouTube until tomorrow because again, I have to download it and then I need to split it, Pro and Am. Like you'll see in the playlist there, they're all split. And I just didn't do that today, so I have to do it manually, and then I'll get them both uploading. But I don't know that will happen tonight or tomorrow morning while I'm starting work. So. What lap times is Kip doing? Let's go in. I don't know the timetables show us, but let's go in and take a look at the timetables. Yeah, we can't really see anything. But we can see right now that he is well on and leading overall. And Chief now opening up a little bit on Stan. It's well over 1 second. And while we're at it, press A on his name. Yeah, I did that. It didn't work. It didn't do anything, unfortunately. Let's let Kipster get through this lap, and then we will jump on and see. That should give us an idea. So if we look, his fastest right now, just over a 144. 12 laps in. What times? Well, Kipster, our leader right now, we're showing 144. So, obviously everyone else, in all honesty, is behind that because he's opened the gap to almost 25 seconds over second place. It is 25 seconds, in fact, over Foxtrot in second place. Obviously, this is somewhere that Kipster has practiced and is quite good. And we'll go on board with him through this next lap and give him an opportunity to show us what kind of times he is running. And actually his last was a 144. His best so far has just been under at a 143.9. So I'm already seeing where I can pick up some time in the Audi. So that's good. We should do onboards more often. A little tap on the sand there, but certainly nothing that is harming his lap time. And if we take a look with the onboard, we see that Kipster is down to 20 liters of fuel. So obviously going to get interesting because he's going to have to pit, right? You're not going 45 minutes on 20 liters of fuel. We all know that. What's curious is that at this point is if he's comfortable on his tires and he thinks he can hold those tires for another 45 minutes, really, he should, by the time he's burned through those 20 liters and needs to go pit, I think really we're talking about him being at a point where he can go into the pit, refuel, get back out on track, and not lose a position. And again, obviously that all depends, but we see there a little bit of squirrely, right, coming up the hill. Just a skosh of squirrely making that corner. So we'll have to see if he thinks those tires are going to hold or if he ends up swapping those out at the same time. And yeah, Astrov, he's basically at this point almost sitting on a free stop with 27 seconds and doing only fuel. He really is sitting almost on a free stop. As we see Stan Lee now, Porsche versus Porsche. As we watch Stan Lee trying to hold McAlpin back, a little side-by-side action. As we switch to McAlpin, and let's go on board. Again, McAlpin, our points leader right now, meaning he is no slouch when it comes to racing in the M class. But his best lap so far, if you look, a 1:45.6. Now, compared to what we saw in Kipster, who's running a 1:43 for his best lap. Now, is that because that McAlpin has been stuck in traffic this whole time, and where he to get clear air could run up there? I'm sure it does. We've seen him keep up. We know that he's the points leader. But it could also be that this is not his track, and why we have seen him struggle a little bit today. Oh, the helicopter pilot had a little bit of swale there, but as we step back and keep an eye on McAlpin, now trying to make the move outside of Stan. Now we saw that's where Stan was able to pass Chief, so not sure that's the best location to try and get around him. Stan now whipping real wide and giving McAlpin his opportunity to get around. And McAlpin's able to clear that pass. Keeping Stan under pressure and forcing him wide to take that up. Chief Blaze still hanging in number 3 with a 4.2 second gap between him and McAlpin. So we'll see if that's the next place that this goes. As I go in myself to take a quick look, you know, when we talk about Stan's sitting right now in 13th because he only competed in 2 races this season. So one has to wonder, is that McAlpin pressure? Or is that Stan saying, listen, you know, I didn't run 3 races. I'm going to go, because we haven't seen Stan go wide. Now, again, we haven't watched him the whole race, but we haven't seen him go wide. Having raced on track with Stan, even goofily, on Fridays, the guy certainly knows his business, and I'm not one to say that he would toss the position on purpose, but possibly to give McAlpin the opportunity to get up there and compete for his points, knowing that the start of the race was so rough. I don't know. I really don't. something to possibly consider. As we see now, Kipster opened that gap to 28 seconds, almost able to getting to the point of being able to change tires when he goes into the pits. If it weren't for the in and out of the pit stop, Chief Blaze now 5.9 back from Adam Foxtrot. Again, still really able to run his own race at this point and try and just play catch up slowly but surely with 40 minutes left today. Kipster now running very wide, taking those sausage curbs. I'm sorry, McAlpin running wide and hitting those sausage curbs hard, but Stan unable to capitalize from it. And now we see Stan going off track, dropping back a good bit from McAlpin. And we shall see. Chief now opened it up a little bit to 6.2. And we'll see if he can maintain. BB Lightfoot now 1.3 back from Pierre. Closing that slowly, but also a little swale to his step back there. Now 30 minutes gone in this race. So we take a look back through. Dan 00 Alpha, pit start, out to tool around the track with some friends today. And just cruising in that McLaren. Blah in his Lexus, completing yet another lap. Now sitting 10.8 back from BB Lightfoot. As we move up, Pierre doing quite well in P7. And again, right now, able to hold himself. BB only 2.5 back, but Pierre able to run his race at this point. BK Ferrari now a little under 2 seconds back from Stan Lee, who has been able to take back and then hold that position. With McAlpin having gotten around and opened up to 3.3 on Stan. And him now 6.1 back from Chief Blaze. And Chief still about 6 seconds off of Foxtrot's pace at this point. And we will have to see and wait for times to come in here and see what the gap is between Kipster and Foxtrot in P2 right now. .31 seconds. So at this point, Kipster has covered the pit stop. He has covered the pit stop. So he's now over 30 seconds ahead, meaning he could, if he desired, change tires. He would at this point obviously still lose a position due to the in and out speed limits on the pit, but he has covered the pit stop itself. So as of right now, I agree. I would say he should still get fuel and hopefully make those tires last the entire race. Let's quickly go on board with him to see what that fuel is sitting at. What? That's not right. No, apparently when you spectate, you're not getting the proper fuel levels, much like you don't get tire pressures. Ain't that curious? Whoops. Was really thinking that was 20 liters and he was going to have to go in, but apparently that is not accurate. Listen, I think McAlpin would be a great partner for endurance, right? He is storming. You're not wrong. Now 4.8 behind Chief Blaze. That was a little tighter earlier, so I don't know if he had a little slip going on or Porsche doing Porsche things, but you know, given the issues he had in lap 1 and 2 diving off into the sand, he's really done quite well to bring himself all the way back to P4. And we will have to see what that does to point standings if that ends up being where he finishes the race. And for right now, going to keep it right here on Chief Blaze and follow him around the track. As we wait and see if McAlpin's able to close that gap up on him. Stan Lee now 4.8 back off pace. But again, clear air in front of him and able to drive his own race at this point and finish quite well in number 5 if that's what he wants to do. Yeah, TGO said fuel does not get transmitted, so I assume if we looked at any driver in the cockpit, we're going to see 20 liters for everybody. Unfortunate, too. Although I could understand why they do it, so that someone can't watch the race and play engineer for someone else. So McAlpin down now to just over 4 seconds behind Chief Blaze as we hit the halfway point of the race. Now, I believe Chief intended on pushing his Bentley the full course without having to pit. And we will see if that holds true as we get into the second half of the race. And with that, folks, I'm going to leave you to watch Chief Blaze for just a moment while, again, I step away. I apologize, but it has been a long afternoon of racing, and I do need a quick break, so I will be right back. I'm going to leave you right here on Chief Blaze as we are waiting to see if McAlpin can make that catch, or if Chief can tighten up on Foxtrot, where he is still sitting about 4 seconds back. Barsky says 15 liters in the Bentley after 70 minutes, so I'm sure that Chief tightened everything up to try and make sure he had a full fuel load on board. Goodbye forever, Admiral? No, don't leave. I'll be right back, I promise. It'll be about a minute and a half as we watch. Maybe one lap, right? One lap of watching Chief go around, or a little more, and I will be right back with you guys. So keep an eye on things for me. Admiral, you're an officer and a gentleman, and I leave you in charge, sir. I'll be right back, folks. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Back in action. Still watching Chief Blaze and still seeing McAlpin's holding about that 4-second gap between them. And Chief, however, is close to just under 4 seconds up on Adam Foxtrot. Do emojis still pop up on stream when you send them? They will, Astrov, however, not during races. So I have done my best, and I still probably missed one or two things, I don't think, but I've turned off channel notification or channel points. Channel points are there, but I don't cash them in during race streams. But turning off alerts and things, so anybody who follows, again, I want to make sure I thank Sam followed today, Acco 49. Moons and Bears both cheered. I appreciate all of it, especially new followers. The cheers, awesome. But I do turn alerts off during the races so we can focus directly on the drivers. Come back during the week, Mondays and Tuesdays. Mondays and Tuesdays, our general streaming. Terror Tuesdays right now for horror gaming. Fridays are Friday night drinking and driving. Saturdays is F1 Green Hell Racing races. Right now just one, but we'll see if that expands and opens up to a Pro and an AM class race for Saturdays. And Sundays right here with GT3 action. Just waiting to pick up the Delta now between Kipster and Foxtrot. See what that has opened up to or closed a little bit. But 10 drivers still left. Everybody's spread out. Unsure what happened to Fawn. And Kipster into the pits now with a 39-second Delta. Let's see how quickly Kipster's able to take advantage. And we will watch. Let's zoom in on Foxtrot and see exactly what happens here. As we watch him come around. And here's where strategy starts to play, ladies and gentlemen. Kipster now stopped. Foxtrot getting past pit entry, and Kipster still sitting. Must have decided he had to do tires. That's an awful long time, and now just clearing the pit stop as Adam Foxtrot goes by, and Chief Blaze. So losing 2 positions during that pit. And again, must have decided that tires just had to be done as we watch. And don't know who that was, but that was not McAlpin. Or was it? Don't believe so. Yeah, it was McAlpin. Kipster now running in 4th position. I'm sorry, 5th position. That was Stan Lee that got around. So lost 5 spots with that pit stop. But must have decided that tires were absolutely required. We'll see if he can make that up now and get himself back up towards the front. It's a lot of positions to have to make, especially when we know from the pro race that the Bentley, very capable. I mean, I think most of the cars are very capable of making it around all 70 minutes on the tires and the fuel. The Bentley we know for sure. But Chief Blaze now up into 2nd with Adam Foxtrot leading the race and a 3.5 second gap between them. And thank you, Admiral, for being in charge while I stepped away. I much appreciate it. Looks like you were able to keep things under control, so that's good. And we see now that so far, Kipster the only one to drop into the pits. But already with only a 2.2 second gap between himself and Stan Lee. So I have a feeling this is where we will maybe see our next battle pop off. You are an admiral after all. Yes, sir. That's why I left you in charge. I knew leadership was born, inborn with you, so I knew you'd be able to handle it. Now we start to see, as we come under our last 26 minutes, whether or not any of our other race leaders sitting in the top 5 ahead of Kipster are going to take that pit stop. As of yet, nothing. And our field pretty well spread out, but as I said, I think we're going to see Kipster catching up on Lee here in short order as he closes that gap to under 2 seconds now. Stan looking there at the bottom of the screen like he was having just a little warble coming out of the chicane. which again may provide Kipster that opening if Stan's tires are getting warm. Yes, Foxtrot is in the lead. You called it, Admiral. Foxtrot leading this race, and we'll have to see if he's going to need to go into the pits like Kipster did. And Kipster obviously taking a chance, knowing he needed to make that stop, more than likely, and hoping that the people in front of him have to as well. And now closing to under a second, within a second of Stan Lee. Still a lot of time to make up, and only 25 minutes to do so. He'll need 10 liters. Gotcha. Well, we'll certainly be curious. Let's jump down and go on board with Kipster now as we watch him come up on the back of Stan Lee. Not quite able to pull it off going through that chicane, and a dangerous place to make a pass. Let's stay on board as we watch and see who can come out with the better speed out of the last corner onto the start-finish straight. Again, obviously, Kipster running better tires, cleaner, fresher tires. And maybe all it's needed. And some patience to make the move on Stan. And take that first of the 4 lost ones back. One place you notice Kipster staying off those curbs going through the chicane, as that Audi does tend to not play nicely with them. Take a quick jump back out here to see if anyone else has pitted yet. It does not appear to be so, but McAlpin, again, after all the trouble at the beginning of the race, and here goes Kipster able to make the move towards the outside of the track. Coming back across and able to make the move on Stan across the start-finish straight. Well, Kipster, I don't know how long you've been gone, Namaste. Kipster did pit, putting himself in 5th. He lost 5 positions while in there. However, just took one back from Stan Lee. McAlpin got himself back up into 3rd, doing fantastic given the trouble at the beginning of the race. And now trying to close in on Chief, but with a 7.3 second gap, it's going to come down to whether or not Adam Foxtrot is going to have to pit. And I agree with you, GT. Through that chicane, I can tell you, the Audi does not like those big curbs. I don't care who tells you you can drive right over them. They do not like it. The Audi doesn't, anyway. Not one little bit. Yes, Kipster the only one to pit so far. I believe the only one to pit at all. But can he hold for 20 minutes? That's the thing right now, to the point of someone said earlier that if Foxtrot's on map 1, he's going to need 10 liters of fuel. So more than likely he's going to have to dive in. Obviously that 2.6 second gap is not going to hold him to be able to maintain that position ahead of Chief and McAlpin. So really it's about what engine map is he on? Will he need fuel? And can Chief hold on, especially if McAlpin's able to close that gap and start applying pressure to the rear of Chief's Bentley? At that point, it's a matter of, if there's enough race time left, waiting for Chief to make a mistake and go from there. And as we hit that 20-minute left mark and keep counting down, let's take a look at our grid with 20 minutes left. Adam Foxtrot able to get himself right up front after Kipster had to pit and unfortunately did not have enough gap to get a completely full free stop with needing a tire change. Chief Blaze running in second right now, 2.6 the gap there. Chief has been closing it slowly. We'll have to see if 19 minutes is a long enough time for him to get it back. McAlpin, 8.4 back from Chief. Gap's opened up a little bit. Maybe McAlpin's struggling after a rough start to the race. Kipster, after that pit stop, was able to get back around Stan Lee. Had himself in number 5, but moved back up to P4 with a move on Stan Lee after a few laps. Stan running 3.6 back now. Quiet in the back half of the pack. BK Ferrari, Pierre. Dan now having made some moves and gotten ahead of BB Lightfoot and Blah after a pit start. And that's your race right there so far. Hardest thing with these races for me is staying focused. You are not lying, Namaste. It is the same for me. That's why I have to prepare myself for when I come back to racing in September to not hang my tablet over next to me so that I cannot see the chat or anything else while I'm streaming the race, because if I do, that's all it will take. As yeah, I can't read. I'm not Pizza Man Pete. I cannot read the chat and drive at the same time. It just does not work for me, even on a long straight like Paul Ricard, as Q-Bar can attest to, after I assaulted him while trying to do that. We may get the race we want, folks. Kipster now in number 4, McAlpin in number 3, and Kipster having closed the gap to under 2 seconds on McAlpin. Again, fresh tires, 17 minutes left. Can he shut that down and get ahead of McAlpin for points? I don't know that it will help with the championship, but it certainly would be an interesting finish to Season 7 in the M Class. Take a look, Foxtrot going by the pits one more time, not stopping today. Like I said, GT, you know what? 100%, man. Every lap is like, you feel like it's quality because you're just pushing in as hard as you can. And I'll tell you, for me, the season I ran, I was there every race, plus the endurance, and it never once felt like that that pressure went away. I was nervous every race, so I'm hoping it does at some point, but that's just me. I'm also spending my off seasons of the summer here practicing, and practicing offline, but in very specific ways to hopefully make it easier and make myself better when I come back in September and start racing with you guys again. Chief Blaze still pushing, but unable to close the gap on Foxtrot. And then we see here, Kipster has finally caught up with McAlpin. Let's go on board and watch our points leaders battle it out here in the last 15 minutes. Oh yeah, I'm practicing Epic, and I'm actually, with doing streaming now, I'm trying to get better at editing video. I actually want to start editing video, I should say, and then get relatively decent at it. And in doing so, I'm putting together some videos for ACC. Again, I'm slow. I'm an AM class racer, and I'm slow at that. I'm back there with Pierre. Him and I could drive side by side. But I think there are ways to practice that it's not about getting faster, it's about getting better, right? So, and here we watch as McAlpin makes that move to the outside now, little bit behind, tucking in close, unable to hold it, and pops McAlpin, unfortunately. Tips him. Oh. And unfortunately going to cost them both position now. Stan Lee able to jump back up there. And McAlpin doing the right thing, giving that position. I'm sorry, Kipster doing the right thing, giving that position back to McAlpin. McAlpin no doubt frustrated. As we see Lightfoot ahead of them. We'll stick right here, folks. BB trying to let him by. Don't do that. There you go. BB doing his best to let those guys get by. It's not always easy when you're a back marker. Trying to know the right place to go. Too bad, but both drivers doing the right thing, getting back set and back on track. Stan Lee able to move up into third because of it, but we get to continue to watch this battle. Kipster just getting a little out of position and things just a little too close. But as I was saying, I think there are ways that you can practice that make you better, not necessarily faster. And that was my thing in this off season for me is I don't need to be faster. I do this for fun. I'm not worried about being faster. I want to get faster, but I'm not. It's, you know, I want to be better. And so driving in traffic, avoiding incidents, avoiding, you know, being a good back marker, being a clean passer, things like that. And I think there are ways you can practice offline that will let you do that. So that's sort of what I'm working on and what I'm trying to do for myself. And I'm actually hoping to put a video together that kind of shows some of the things you can do that I've been doing that have made me better. So Kipster now driving himself off track. I can't imagine, or I'm sorry, McAlpin. I can't imagine he had damage from that. And I'm unsure why he would have done that to give Kipster that position back. So it seems very odd. Now Kipster very slow. BK and BB both able to pinch him. So is this a case of being flustered and not really feeling as though you can drive right now? Or possibly, yeah, possibly a disconnect from the bump and the spin? Who knows, but again, very odd. BB throwing himself off track to get out of the way here. And again, guys, if you're a back marker, it's not really the best way to run, but now we get to watch BB and Kipster go to it. Or I'm sorry, BK and Kipster. And BK able to get around. So I'm sure the Discord will be full of folks asking what happened there and why. Kipster still struggling to maintain. Again, I keep mixing them up now, and I don't know why. McAlpin. McAlpin struggling to maintain. I apologize, guys. Not sure why I keep mixing those two up right now. BK Ferrari now getting himself into fifth. McAlpin trying to keep it on track. Maybe struggling, I mean, but not going into the pits, so it looks like he doesn't have enough damage to worry about that. Maybe just getting his head right. As we take a look up front again, Adam Foxtrot still running by himself with Chief a full 4 seconds behind. Stan Lee now having found himself into third with the incident between Kipster and McAlpin. Kipster back up in the 4th and holding a 4.5 back. BK Ferrari again with that incident, and really McAlpin having some struggles through the rest of that lap. BK Ferrari finding himself now in 5th position. We'll see if that holds, with Pierre, Dan, and Lightfoot bringing up 7, 8, and 9. And Blah now riding in number 10. I can, Epic GT, but here's the problem. It won't show us. And here's how we know that. We already looked. So, now this is not my car, so I don't know where that fuel is, but I can tell you this. On the Audi, when we were following Kipster, it said he had 20 liters of fuel the whole time. We went in the car once, and then we went in the car like 5 laps later, and it still said 20 liters of fuel. So, unfortunately, I don't know that this is going to tell us anything. But that is your on board with Foxtrot. Still pushing very hard. Chief Blaze doing his best to close it up. We see Dan 00 Alpha back marker. No doubt going to clear space for these guys. It really is a Chief Blaze and Adam Foxtrot race at this point, with Stan Lee 16 seconds off the pace with only 8 minutes and 40 seconds left. Kipster, however, quickly gaining on Stan, and we get to see this battle happen again. Chief looking very strong. And again, with Kipster being the only one to pit, I wonder at this point if he's regretting that move, or if having these fresher tires is going to put him where he needs to be at the end of the day. McAlpin now back in 6th, not going to help him with points, but with the 30 plus point spread in the standings, it may not matter. I have not done the math that deep, because you don't expect McAlpin and Kipster to be out of top 1 and 2. And yeah, I think Kip's going to be able to get around Stan here at one point, but I don't see him being able to pull up on on Chief Blaze before the end of the race. And there we see it. Kipster now moves ahead of Stan Lee and has open air between himself and Chief Blaze, who Chief Blaze has now closed the gap on Foxtrot to just under 2 seconds again. Let's on board with Chief and see if he's able to take pole at the end of this race. And now Foxtrot opening it back up on Chief. Things spreading out again a little bit to over 2 seconds. Kipster opening up on Stan now after the pass. McAlpin sitting back in 6th, 11 seconds now back off BK Ferrari. So still must have struggled after BK was able to make that move, with even Pierre now a back marker, but still up on BK, between BK and McAlpin on track. Pierre doing a great job today. Holding on to P8 right now. BB Lightfoot and Blah bringing up the rear. Again, Chief Blaze pushing for a while to try and catch up to Foxtrot, just unable to hold, and now back over to that 2-second mark. We'll see if he makes another push here towards the end of the race with less than 5 minutes left. And yeah, Kip's not going to be able to close up that gap, but he does have open air in front of him, fresh tires. He can groom himself into a third-place finish today and make podium. And again, I'm sure there will be penalties thrown based on the incident between himself and McAlpin, which is really unfortunate because some great racing up to that point, and sometimes things just happen. And unfortunately, when the weight of a car is going around a corner, and that's also the most likely place that you're going to catch somebody, well, sometimes tab A fits into slot B. But overall, a great AM race today. Some excellent racing. We got to see the role that strategy plays in Kipster's choice to make that stop versus everyone else for staying out. And really, again, as we look back, Kip had almost a 40-second lead when he went into the pits. Really unfortunate that maybe second guessing that decision at this point, given that had he stayed out, that lead might have shrunk, but would he have been able to stay out in front of this race versus having an incident and versus driver of the day? Driver of the day would have to be McAlpin. Recovered from a first and second lap incident. One, I think, was an incident. One was him missing a break point only for himself, sending him off into the dirt. And from there, dropping to, 7th or 8th, and able to climb all the way back up to 3rd before, unfortunately, getting tapped by Kipster, which really is the reason he's in 6th right now. Otherwise, I don't know that we wouldn't be seeing him either sitting in 3rd or even having given enough time, being able to make the run on Chief Blaze up in 2nd position. Porsche's deadly under 30 liters of fuel. That's what I've been told. Stan was telling me that Friday night, or telling us that Friday night, that more fuel is sometimes better when it comes to the Porsche. And looks like, folks, Foxtrot's going to have 2 more laps to run here. So as we come to the close of this race, I will ask you all to just take a quick commercial break. Not an ad. I'm not going to do that. That'd be crazy. But I thank you all for joining me today. Again, everybody for being here. I thank all the drivers. I thank all the viewers. I thank Bear and Moons for the cheers. Those guys are awesome. I suggest you go take a look at their channels, Bear Necessities and The Real Moons. They're both awesome guys. They're not racers, but they are awesome people. Be back tomorrow night. I will be on to myself to play a little Ghost of Tsushima. So be sure and tune in for that. Tuesdays is Terror Tuesdays. We're going to try and finish Outlast Tuesday night. So that should be fun. You can all come and watch me attempt not to urinate within my pants or scream or cry or anything else. And, of course, back next Friday for Drinking and Driving, and next Saturday for Round 2 of Season 4 of the F1 races. And again, next Sunday, qualification for the 4 hours at Kailami. We'll be watching qual. Again, I believe it's only a 25-minute qual, but we will cover it here to get ourselves a bit of a list of where people will run for the 4-hour endurance. Thank you, Huff, man. Appreciate you being here, my man. Chief really trying to close this up as tight as he can leading to the end of this race. 30-minute. Okay. TG0 says 30 minutes of qualification. And of course, case I haven't said it, which I'm pretty sure I have. August 8th, 2 weeks from today, the 4 hours at Kailami. You can watch it all right here. 2 stints, team of drivers each. So if you're not racing, come by and take a watch. We'll certainly be here to give you all the action across all 4 hours. As we watch here, Adam Foxtrot still leading our closing lap. Chief Blaze unable to really break that 2-second point, right? But again, 70 minutes, tires are old, car's getting a little squirrely between the tires and the lighter fuel load from the beginning of the race. Really changes things on you, so understandable why he would try and just maintain. And still doing well, though, with Stan Lee and Kipster bringing up the back. We're going to see if Kipster's going to make a move in the final lap to try and bring it home around Stan Lee. Right now holding his own. Waiting for an opening. Not sure he's going to find one. Stan is very good at making that Porsche very, very wide. We come into the chicane. We are watching the list. Foxtrot's still 2.4 over Chief. I think we know who's going to cross the line, when and where. And there's your winner, Adam Foxtrot, with Chief Blaze right behind him as we watch these two come in to the end. Stan Lee trying his best to hold Kipster behind him. And Kipster, we saw him with that straight line speed. The Audi was able to pull that more speed out of that corner. Photo finish right here. Stan Lee holds it just barely. Kipster pushed it to the very end, ends up taking P4 and has now destroyed the Audi. But Stan Lee able to hold it by 0.02 of a second, ladies and gentlemen. And I knew that's where it would come down to, given that Kipster, we watched Kipster, right? He knew that last corner. He could pull wicked speed out of it. Was able to do the same thing here, but Stan was just far enough ahead that he was able to hold on by 0.02 of a second. McAlpin crosses in number 6. Dan 00 Alpha in 7 as we watch Pierre coming down the straight. And Blah and Lightfoot right behind him. So again, thank you all today for joining me. Thank you for a great race. Awesome pro race. Awesome AM race. If you guys want them, they will be on YouTube sometime tomorrow morning. They will also be available here on Twitch. But for YouTube, I will split them up to pro and AM so we can continue that tradition and keep everything separated. Thank you to the drivers. Thank you to Chief Blaze for joining me during the pro race, for commentating. It was excellent. Stan Lee as well was here for a little while. Admiral, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody that joined. And again, I will be back tomorrow night with Ghost of Tsushima, so come on back and join if you want to watch me chop things with a sword and laugh at myself and talk about whatever pops into my dome at the time. So again, thanks everybody. I appreciate you being here. Have yourselves a great Sunday, great day of racing. And if you are interested, come right over there to that link, and I will throw it in the chat one more time before we're done. That's where you can join us if you want to get in on this action yourself, if you aren't already. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you much.